I welcome you all to my YouTube channel, Down to Earth Views. Today I'm going to talk about Trump, whether he's going to concede or he will not, and we'll discuss a couple of options that he has and what he probably is going to choose. Um, First of all, I mean, he has basically two options, like we all know, is to concede the elections and move on from there, or like he's doing now, not to concede and consider other possibilities. Let's take the first option of conceding. I think it's going to be very difficult for him to concede, both from the point of view that he has always considered Biden as somebody who's not capable of being a president of the U.S. and he has said that I mean he's the worst president and it would be a disgrace for him to lose. So by conceding the elections, he would basically admit his defeat. So he's not likely to do that. The other option for him, and secondly, and he will also not be, in my view, be a party or be at the ceremony, handing over ceremony for the new president, because of this reason that I mentioned above. Now, the other option is that he could resign. Um, well, yes, he could, and there are some pros and cons for that. If he resigns and Joe Pence takes over as the president of the U.S., then he can basically make an agreement with Pence that, okay, after you become the president, you pardon me of all the cases that are now against me or the judgments, and the future cases. It's like a clemency. And the reason that could be given for doing that is that Donald Trump has built the greatest economy. He has saved 2 million lives in coronavirus. He's for the first time in history, is America first, etc., etc. And for his services, therefore, he is pardoned. Now, that statement could be, you know, taken by some quarter as a very powerful statement and sort of a conviction that they have supported somebody who's gone out as a hero. Now the question remains: can Donald Trump be pardoned? Well, the law that I am aware of is that only he cannot be pardoned in the cases that are against him in various states. But having said that, but if he is pardoned at federal level, then I believe, I'm not a lawyer, but I believe that any case that is brought to the Supreme Court at the federal level could basically be influenced by that pardon order. I'm not sure. Maybe lawyers can give give opinion on that. But in any case, I mean, if I was Donald Trump, I'd take the pardon in any case, whether it really pardons me across the border or selectively or whatever, because that's a very powerful piece of paper that I would have. Now, the key question is that in resignation, the few things have to happen. That Pence first agreed to become a president for a month and a half or 2 months or whatever time period. Whether he do it or not is questionable. The reason is that if he becomes the president for a month and a half, say, for example, then he effectively loses one term, and he cannot be the president for 2 terms, potentially become president for 2 terms in the future. So he may decide not to accept that, and he said, okay, if you resign, I resign. And then the government goes to the House leader, Nancy Pelosi. So he may not resign, he may not accept it. But on the positive flip side is that there could be some incentive for Pence to accept it, because he'll get the label of being a president, which he may never get, maybe in the future, because he may not be sort of get nomination from Republicans to become the presidential candidate, and secondly, Republicans may not win. So there is some incentive for him, but I don't know whether this is going to accept it or not. But the key thing is that if Pence accepts the role of a president and for a couple of months, then he must be willing to uh, pardon Donald Trump. That probably would be my precondition as Trump to allow him to become the president. That okay, you give me pardon, and if he agrees, fine. If he doesn't, then it's okay. The things go as they are. But the important thing is that for the Trump and to ensure that that Pence does not renege on his word that he will give him a pardon or not. Anyway, in my view, this resignation and giving the presidency to Pence have a probability of about 50-50. I mean, it could go either way. Now, if suppose Pence doesn't agree to becoming the president, and take the actions that he wants, Trump wants as Pence being the president, uh, Trump then will continue as it is. He will keep defending. He will not concede, and I think he will then probably towards January, close to January 15th, he will, or 16th, he's supposed to hand over the power, he will resign. And then, of course, Pence will also resign, and then Nancy Pelosi takes over and becomes the president. So, what does he achieve by doing this? Okay, first of all, he would proclaim that he resigned because he has basically exhausted all means to fight the establishment. He fought in state courts, and he fought the election, and then he contested the results at every level that he could, and he was getting nowhere. And the establishment, when the status quo was too powerful for him to let him continue, and the time was not enough for him to continue fighting. So he's come out to the people to fight his battle there. And that would be a powerful message, and that would give him a face saving, and he could probably be a hero among those people. So I think he's going to go back to his constituency after he resigns, which will be before the handover date, and then he will plead his case among people to put pressure on the various courts that are reviewing his petitions against him. Secondly, it will also create a pressure on Joe Biden, whom he will discredit to the hilt and say that he came through a victory from a rigged elections and from a massive rigging and fraud, and therefore undermine his legitimacy, and any action that he would want to take against Trump will be considered as a vindictive action, and therefore possibly maybe at the federal level there may not be that many cases or actions against some of the things that he did in the past or during his government. So I think, in my view, this possibility where he will probably resign soon before, just before the handover date, and then go to the people as a warrior and a fighter, and somebody who's basically wanted to change the status quo, who wants to make America great again, and was not allowed to do that by a systematic fraud and rigging in the election and Biden's election, and probably he will then have a lot more chance of getting support and raising money and funds and whatever he wants to do politically. So these are my view. I'm sure some of you may have your own views, and I would really appreciate if you have any comments, and if you agree or disagree with that, because that's part of the discussion. And let me just ask you that if you agree with it, please share, and if you don't, forget it, just trash it. Thank you. Bye. Bye.